ist mein ganzes Herz.
My name is Franco Tenelli and this is Science of Singing. Today we're going to discuss and demonstrate one of the most advanced features in vocal technique called Messa di Voce. Messa di Voce, Italian, placing the voice, is the vocal technique that implies a gradual crescendo and decrescendo while sustaining the same pitch. Messa di Voce came into a term as a trick only in 20th century. Before it just simply meant placing the voice or well-placed voice. This term implies more to Belcanto singing than to anything else, but anything that comes from Belcanto and later. I'd like you to know that it is very easy to mix up Messa di Voce with Mezza Voce. They both are dynamic tricks. We know that Mezza Voce is a half voice. It's basically singing with the same voice reduced in half. Dynamic trick. And Messa di Voce is also a dynamic trick, but it has nothing to do with Mezza Voce. Listen to this. Messa di Voce is considered to be an advanced technique for an advanced vocalist. Okay, I say it again. Advanced technique for an advanced vocalist means that if you're advanced, you can approach it. If you're a beginner, I don't even recommend it. It's really dangerous. So Messa di Voce is very advanced, and as I noted that very few professional singers are the masters of Messa di Voce. Well, I can give you great examples of one of the greatest dramatic singers who never had Messa di Voce. The first one comes to mind is Tamagno, the great dramatic tenor. The second one comes to mind is great Otello del Monaco. They both didn't have the control of the piano. We're not talking about Messa di Voce. Of course they wouldn't have Messa di Voce in that case. How do we know about that? I mean, we know about Mario del Monaco, we have his recordings, and we know that this great singer avoided singing piano. We know now that he avoided singing piano because simply he didn't know how to do it. Now, the second Tamagno, we can read from Verdi's letters that Tamagno cannot sing piano. So, of course, we're not talking about Mezza Voce. But Messa di Voce is more advanced level than Mezza Voce, definitely, because singing piano is one thing, and to reduce your voice without losing the color and the beauty, and then getting back, or simply crescendo decrescendo, is much more difficult than just singing piano. You see, Messa di Voce is a trick that is more generally difficult for more dramatic voices, because they're chunkier, and to keep the same chunk in the voice and reduce it and then getting back to the full power without losing this beauty is very, very difficult. And that's why if it's not beautiful, people don't do it. If they don't know how to do it, that can turn into a very ugly phrasing. What is the reason of not having this technique? First of all, it's an absence of appoggio. Even if you're an appoggio singer, you still have to master this trick, because that trick is somehow a connecting trick between big and small. And so it's a particular experience. Singing piano is a different experience, singing forte, but doing this all in one is kind of challenging, and it needs an approach. But if you're not an appoggio singer, just forget about it. Because if you cannot control your diaphragm, you cannot control really the true dynamics of your voice. You will never be able to sing this appoggio-based trick, because it is appoggio-based trick. What's the reason behind this particular trick? First of all, when you sing a long note, quite enough, singers notice that it is very dull to keep it in the same level. It's much more interesting than your voice kind of has dynamic development, rather than just putting it right straight there and holding it. When you hold it for 2 or 3 seconds, maybe it's the case, but when you hold it for more than 10 seconds, then it becomes kind of a dull to listen to this voice. So in this particular example, though it's not exactly Messa di Voce, but it is decrescendo, crescendo, because you hear that comes from Il mio tesoro, Don Giovanni, Mozart, Don Ottavio's aria. That is trick of Messa di Voce, almost the full trick, except that from decrescendo you go to crescendo, and then the phrases changes, so you don't go again to decrescendo. But this is the also Messa di Voce trick. Listen to it. But I also have to be specific for those singers who, you might notice that I said it's just a very advanced level. You might say, oh, I'm not an advanced level. All I sing is Caro mio bene and O cessate di piegarmi, but I can reduce my voice. I can use Messa di Voce. I repeat, Messa di Voce is very advanced trick for those who sing with chiaro scuro tone, and they use dynamics in the areas that is above passaggio, in the passaggio zone. So yes, you might have in a natural zone, you might have the ability to control your voice better, and I talked about this in my previous programs, and that's why Messa di Voce also, the etymology of this word is placed voice. It means when it's well placed you can do it. You know, it doesn't explain you the trick. But this is one of the most important thing. If you have a natural placement, definitely Messa di Voce will be for you a lot easier if you're just a technical or manufactured singer. What is a manufacturer? The ones who sings with different registers, the ones who uses support and many different techniques. But that's manufacturing. I call it manufacturing because there's no one beautiful natural voice developed. You can hear different, maybe beautiful, but different registers and voices. So for the voice who has more natural register and natural zone developed as natural chiaroscuro, in this zone it is a lot easier to do those tricks, of course, definitely. But when you go and you sing higher, above passaggio, very top notes, that becomes very challenging because you have to perfectly control your diaphragm. You might be already an appoggio singer, but for Messa di Voce you need another things to learn. You need to learn how to gradually produce that decrescendo into forte and then come back to decrescendo. That requires constant training. I would say it's very important. I'll give you some exercises for you to master those, or at least understand how difficult Messa di Voce is, and understanding that if you really want to master this and be the master of this trick, you have to practice this in your everyday routine exercises. Okay, let's go to the exercises. I recommend to start vocalizing in the area just a little bit before passaggio. General passaggio, what I mean before middle C. So let's take a note A and say the French word moi, which means me. Say it slowly. Start with humming. You see, the trick here is when you increase the volume of definitely your diaphragm pushes down and your low abdominals pushing up, and then eventually you get the sound that has more energy by squeezing the diaphragm down. But an interesting thing happens when you actually reduce the voice. If you don't want to lose the chiaroscuro or the same timbre, you have to actually continue to push down the diaphragm in spite of the fact that you're actually reducing the voice. The reason for that is very simple. It's because your lungs don't have now the same capacity of air as they used to have before. So definitely you need to supply this pressure compression by further pushing your appoggio down. So let's go a little bit higher. The same. Moi. Very good. Start with humming. So, you see, when I was reducing my voice, instead of actually relaxing my diaphragm, I was actually pushing it more down. So that is something, it's very difficult to guess if you don't know the trick. Let's go a little higher, because now in this area, to do Messa di Voce for appoggio singer is very simple. And if we go a little higher, let's say we go in E flat, the same trick, French word moi. And then G, quite challenging. And you have to remember, though you start with humming, your throat has to be open. I mean, it's difficult. That's why I'm saying if you're not a appoggio singer, it will be extremely challenging for you and maybe not even possible to do these tricks. So let's go and examine now more difficult range as G, for example. G, the same trick, moi. Now, if I may, I will go higher and we'll see it in A flat. Let's go higher, A. And now let's go higher, B flat, Messa di Voce.
Wo ich immer gehe, ich fühle deine Nähe, ich möchte deine Atem trinken, Betten dir zu Füßen sinken,